This is a trade recap of the trades we took this week. We are on a funded challenge and we're trying to pass this. We need to get to 6k profit to pass before we get to 3,000 drawdown where we would blow the account. Now this is with Top Step, and Top Step allow you a free reset every month. So you get 2 chances at this. And it's a really good barrier to entry because it's like 80 UK pounds a month subscription for the 100k account. I think that equates to $100. So if we come down, the most impressive thing here is the trade direction, 90%. So for those of you who don't know what trade direction is, this is basically saying 90% of the trades I took went into profit straight away, so I got the direction correct. And I went into very little drawdown, which can, have a lot of psychological effects on people when they begin trading, and it can make them make stupid decisions basically. So this is really good, this 90%. Average losing trade $193, average winning trade 500, so it's all looking good. And if we come down here, we can see we've had, I never traded on Thursday. I had, you see 1 trade, 2 trades, 2 trades and 5 trades. Today, I actually started off today with 3 losing trades. It was during the London session. We'll go over the analysis and I'll show you exactly what happened. And you can see here's a list of trades here that we took. And there's the 1300 that we won late on Friday. And we got all these wins in a row. And this was a mistake. And basically with these 3 losing trades, but we'll go over these in TradingView. So yeah, we ended the week up 2,610. So let's come over to TradingView and we'll go over these trades. So this was the first trade we took on Monday. This was during New York session, and you can see here M15 breaking resistance, and it's very important, my style of trading. I only trade gold futures, and it has to be during a session, London or New York, where there's volume in the market. So if we just zoom in here, I'll show you my thought process. You can see here I've got a little blue line. I'll maybe change the colour of that because you can't see it clear, so let's change that just to red for the time being. So you can see this red line here. It was just creating a small resistance area here. Then when we broke through it, that's where I took an entry. It's a very nice clean trade, and yeah, I was out of this very quick. So that was in the 15-minute time frame. Broke through this resistance that was created in pre-market, and then the volume came in, broke through this resistance, and we just took a small piece. Initially we could have been going up here because this area here, this blue line you see up here, is a resistance area. You can see how often it's been respected, and we could have held this trade a bit longer, but you see it did come back down. But yeah, in hindsight, you see this big wick here as well, could have potentially stopped us out. So yeah, we just took what was on the table and closed this trade. I believe I closed this trade at 2 to 1 I think it was. Yeah. So again, it's worth noting just now my style of trading while we're doing these breakdowns. I'm not just breaking through this resistance, we're breaking through this resistance during a session with volume. But another key component is, if you look to the left hand side, we've got a clean range here. See this big candle? So we've got a clean range, there's nothing getting in our way from pushing up. So that was the first trade, and that was on Monday. So the next trade came on Tuesday. So let's see what we've wrote in the notes. M30, so we'll flip to, in fact let's go back to Mondays because that was the 15-minute time frame. Let's go back to Mondays and redo that because it was in the 15-minute. So you can see there the resistance getting created here. Okay. Came down, rejected off of this black line, which is the EMA 200, and then boom, through the resistance. So our next trade was on the Tuesday. We're seeing here it was on the 30-minute time frame. Flip over to 30 minutes. And we're seeing here that the M30 big rejection wick candle flipped bullish with volume. So this again is again my trading style is just pure price action. So you can see here with a big massive wick here, okay, big massive wick, and then this candle has flipped bullish, okay, and that's where I've entered, and we've obviously been on the 30-minute. So if you can imagine being in this trade live and this big wick has been created, okay, this has potentially been created in the first 10-15 minutes, and then it's come all the way back up, all the way back up. This is telling me buyers are in control, buyers are in control, there's big volume come into the market, and then I enter when this candle that was blue, it was bearish, it flipped to bullish. You can see I wrote a little blue line there, I don't know if you can see that, a little blue line. That's when it flipped, that's when I entered, and I just took a small position there. Again, that was another win. It was an A plus setup because of this big rejection wick on the 30-minute time frame. It happens time and time again. How many times do we see this? Big strong bullish momentum, then a big rejection wick. So let's go to our next day. So we started to create a channel here. You can see this line, blue line here, and this blue line here. This was acting as resistance. Look how many times it's tapped off it in the 30-minute, never mind 15-minute. So our first trade here, let's put this back to the zone. Yeah. So the M15, so again over an M15. M15 broke resistance. Okay. So you can see the resistance here, this blue line. So this was created because you can see up here, bounced off it twice, came back up here, bounced off it again. This time we came through it, okay? This time we pierced through the resistance, and this was actually at 8 AM in London Open. So there's big volume coming into the market here. So this resistance was created here, here, came all the way back up, respected it, and then this time blasted through it with volume, okay? And that was my trade there. I actually get out of this trade roughly about here, whereas I could have held it to here. But in hindsight, so that was our other trade. So as you can see, I'm just going for A plus setups, volume during sessions, price action, breaking levels. Very simple. Keep it simple. Next trade. So here, this is New York. This little blue box here is New York session. So we can see here again, we've got a resistance forming here, comes back up, respects it here, we blast through it, okay? And I think my entry was just on this white candle here, breaking through this second level, which was previous support, because if you look 1, 2, 3, 3 candles here creating support, then we came through, we've come back up, resistance, and then boom, we break through it. So that was my move there, just a very small move. Again, I'm risking, let me take a little moment to talk about risk management. So I am risking anywhere between $500 and $750 per trade. So what that means is if I've got a top step 100k challenge, I can only afford to lose 3,000, right? So if I'm risking 500, that means 6 trades and I lose the account. I'll need to reset it because you get a free reset once a month. Or I could be a little bit more aggressive and risk 750 to gain 1,500. So what happens there is in 4 trades, I will either blow the account or I will pass the account. I do not see the point in sitting in a challenge for months. I don't see the point. If you need to reset it a few times, or if you need to buy a new challenge, then do that. Because if somebody approached you and said, you know, we will guarantee that you'll pass this challenge in 3 months, it's going to cost you $100, or we'll guarantee that you're going to pass it in 3 days, and it's going to cost you $500, you would go for the 3 days. Okay, you're not making money, you're not making real money during these challenges, so you need a really aggressive model. Now, the model I plan on trading is totally different on when I pass this challenge. My risk management will change. My model will remain the same. What I'm showing you here will remain exactly the same, but I will be very conservative. I will only look to take $150, $200 per trade, because the plan is to stack up accounts, have 10 accounts, and then if you're winning $150, $200 on 10 accounts, that's where you're making your real money. You're never going to make a living off of just one account, because you'll be risking too much, and a few losing trades, you will basically blow the account. So it's very important to understand that, yes, the model remains the same for eval, and when you pass the eval, the model remains the same, but the risk management is totally different. You need to be super aggressive when you're trading these challenges. You don't want to fall into the trap of being stuck in here for 2 months earning $100 a trade. You need to get to 6 grand, 6,000, so earning $100 and $200 is going to take forever. I've just marked this trade in here because this is one that I missed. This was during London session, 7:15 in the morning. I need to get children ready for school in the morning, and I'm just, you know, busy and get their stuff ready, so I can't really focus in the morning. But I noticed a few opportunities, and I'll go into that further in the video. But here's one here, broke through this area that I had marked up. I would have clearly have entered the trade as soon as this candle here got broke, because this closed above my zone, and then when this breaks, that's when I enter. That would have been a beautiful trade there, but should have, would have, could have during London session. Then I started to really mark up London session on the top step charts. So I looked at it here. So I said to myself, I would have entered this. Here's my level here. This happened at 6:45 AM. A candle closed above. Okay, I would have entered here. And there you go, great trade. Again, when we come down through this level, I would have entered here. And I would have entered here as we broke this level here. And I missed these 3 trades. So that got me to looking at London. You know, I started to say, right, let me look at London. And that leads us to Friday, which was a disaster, because I had 3 losing trades during the London session. I found that, yes, I was awake, I was in front of the computer, but there was too many distractions going on, and I just didn't feel as dialed into the markets as I do in New York. The New York session, which for me in the UK starts about 1 PM roughly. I like to be there about an hour before and an hour and a half after, so I spend about 2.5 hours at the markets during the New York session. But I wanted to introduce London, but I mean, I might still look at it next week, but it certainly never worked on Friday. Well, this was in the morning. I did have a good trade in the afternoon, and I'll show you that as well. So here, 3 losing trades. So broke through resistance, 3 fails. So I've created this resistance here. You can see that we broke through. I've entered, and then it's obviously stopped me out here. Then there was another one here. So you can see we've closed just above it, and then I enter on this candle. It goes up and goes into profit, and then boom, stops me out. And then there was another one here. There was a third entry here as well that I took that I lost. But I regained it on another trade, which was this one here. Okay, this was the last trade of the week. This trade gained us 1300. We were actually down, I think about 700 on the day. So this trade here, we gained back all of this, plus ended the day up $600. So what happened here? Very interesting. So this was actually the only trade that we took that was out with the session, because if you notice the candles are massive, which sometimes happens. Volume does come into the market out with sessions, and you can see here this candle here is massive. It's bigger than any candles actually in the session. It's more like the candles in the session on Thursday. So this huge move here, okay, bounced off this support that we had drawn out. Now, what did I notice? So I was in the 15-minute time frame, but the first thing I want to point out here is look at this big massive wick on the 30-minute time frame, okay? Huge wick. Do not ignore big wicks. They speak 1,000 words. Big wicks don't lie, I've wrote here, okay? Big massive rejection wick. Where's it rejecting off of? My resistance that I had already drawn out earlier in the week, okay? So we're bouncing off support, we're rejecting off resistance, okay? So I'm looking here and saying I can see a setup. So let's drop it first. Let's put on this indicator. So this is an indicator that I have designed myself. I don't use it all the time. So as you can see, I've not used it for any trades this week apart from this one, because it's basically showing me the volume that's in the market that's creating this big wick. And you can see here it's created massive volume, okay? Lots of sellers coming into the market here, okay? So this is where I start saying, okay, let's look for a setup. I don't see anything on the 30-minute. Drop down into the 15-minute looking for an opportunity. So let's break this down. So there's the big wick here. This candle comes down bearish, okay? This is my entry candle here, okay? This one here. Now this is very important. This is another, this is a lot of my trades are like this. So if you can imagine when this candle is live and forming, big massive wick, big massive rejection, another followed by another rather big bearish candle, right? So this here is the key. When this candle comes up here, right, this is white, this is a bullish candle coming up, okay, trying to rebalance. Obviously it's not going to rebalance because there's lots of sellers in the market here. This is just a slight retracement. As soon as this candle comes down to this level here, two things are happening. It's breaking the body of the previous candle, and it's basically flipping and starts to come down. So I take a position here, and my target is this bottom wick, and this is called a wick fill, right? It happens over and over again. Big strong moves down or up, but we've got big strong move down in this occasion. Slight retracement. As soon as this candle breaks this candle body's low and flips bearish, I enter and I aim for this wick here, okay? I could have aimed for the EMA 200, but if you look at my notes here, M15 A plus setup, look at the wick on the M30, we looked at that previously. Big wicks don't lie. There's volume in the market clearly. We're aiming for this wick to be filled, and our target is point of control or EMA 200. So we've got three targets: bottom of this wick, EMA 200, or point of control. So if we turn on our session volume profile, we can see that our point of control is here. I think it was actually down here. This is fluid, this changes and moves as time goes on back here, but it was probably down kind of this zone. So below here where I entered, below this was three targets: point of control, wick, and EMA 200. You know, I had plenty to target here, so I had 100% confidence this was going to go down. That's why I positioned big and gained £1,300, and the big wick, just everything lined up here. This is an absolute A plus setup if I've ever seen one. And as you can see, I actually get out the trade round about this zone just before the bottom of this wick, but I could have actually doubled my position and took about 3,000 if I'd held to this EMA 200. But I just was happy with 1,300. It ended the week green, and that was me done for the week. So that's the trade recap. Hopefully this has been useful, and I'll start doing these at the end of every week, being totally transparent. If I have losing trades, I will show you them, and if I blow the account, I will show you it, because it's part of the game. When you're in an evaluation, again, you need to, I don't know what evaluation you're in, but for mine's it's £3,000 is the max drawdown. So I just divide that up and say, right, 6 losses is $500 or 4 losses is $750. I'm going to take maybe 4 trades in a week. So can I pass this challenge in a week? That's what I'm looking at basically. Can I pass it in a week or 2? I certainly do not want to be stuck in an evaluation for any more than 2 weeks, because with Top Step you get a free reset every month. So you may as well be aggressive and try for the first 2 weeks to pass. If you don't pass it and you blow it, reset it and try again, and you've got another 2 weeks, so you've got 2 shots at it. What you do not want to be doing is trying to earn $150, $200 on an eval, because you're going to do the math. Probably about 30 trades you would need to pass before you got to 6,000, you know. Monotonous, you're not making money, you're going to be there for months, so you may as well just try, be aggressive. Yes, you'll blow accounts, and you need to have that mindset going in. If you buy 5 accounts, I'm maybe only going to take 2 over to live in the first month, but you've got the second month to take another 2 over. So that's the way to do it. And then hopefully through this journey together, you will see that I pass some live accounts, and you'll see my risk management will totally change, and I will be aiming for somewhere in the region of $150 to $200 per trade, and that will then allow me 15 losses or 20 losses before I blow the account. So it's very unlikely. And what I will do then is, if I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts, I will be trade copying them. So until next week, that is this video. Stay safe.